What happens when you try to recreate one of the most timeless designs in fashion? After making a Birkin, I knew I had to try another one of the most iconic bags in the world. This kit is inspired by the legendary Hermès Kelly bag, a design that has been a symbol of elegance for decades, a bag that, interestingly, wasn't always called the Kelly. In this video, I'll take you through the entire process of building it step by step, the mistakes, the long hours, and the small details I discovered along the way. But before starting this project, there's an interesting story behind this design, because its history began with a very different name. In the 1930s, Robert Dumas, a member of the Hermès family, designed a model called the sac à dépêche, conceived as a structured, elegant, and practical handbag. But everything changed in the 1950s, when Hollywood actress, and later Princess of Monaco, Grace Kelly began using it frequently. In one famous moment, she even used the bag to shield her pregnancy from photographers. The image became iconic, and over time, the bag eventually adopted her name, officially being renamed the Kelly in 1977. Since then, it has become one of the most exclusive handbags in the world. A recognizable symbol of classic elegance, the kind of quiet luxury that Hermès has cultivated for decades. For this project, Babylon Leather, a brand specializing in DIY kits for 100% hand-stitched leather bags, sent me another one of their kits, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to explore this iconic design and understand how a bag like this is actually constructed, piece by piece. This kit includes everything needed to build the bag completely by hand. It also comes with booklets and detailed information, and by scanning the QR code, you can access the tutorials. Just like last time, they also include a few extras with the kit, like this cute pony charm. In the previous kit, I received a yellow one. And this pair of mini scarves to decorate the bag handles. The ones I got before were pink. Inside, all the essential components are carefully packaged. The hardware and all the metal pieces for the bag, as well as the waxed thread, needles, and the tools needed for every stitch. The next package contains the leather pieces to assemble the bag. In this kit, the strap also comes pre-stitched and ready to use. All the leather pieces are pre-cut, so there's no need to measure anything. The process is basically about putting the pieces together, almost like assembling a leather puzzle. The pieces are made from high-quality cowhide with an embossed texture that mimics ostrich leather. It's also very helpful to keep the tutorial nearby while working, to guide you step by step. I'll start again by stitching the slots where the straps will go. For that, I need to measure the thread I'll use. And prepare the 2 needles required for this type of stitching, with a simple knot at the end to keep the thread from slipping. I also need to mark the angled holes with the awl, to make them more visible and easier to stitch. For this, I'll be using the saddle stitch, an angled stitch that allows you to work with 2 needles and tighten both threads at the same time, creating an extremely strong seam with a much more refined finish. When I first received this kit and saw the design, I had one question. Would this actually be easier than the Birkin? There was only one way to find out. Build one. After having made the Birkin, this design feels different. In some ways, it is simpler. But that doesn't mean it's easy. This bag has fewer pieces, it doesn't require edge piping, and there's no need to sew it inside out and then turn it. In that sense, the structure is simpler, but the stitching is just as demanding. With patience, little by little the bag starts to take shape. When I moved on to the base pieces, I knew that part would take longer. The leather was thicker, and with every stitch it required more effort, which made the process slower. While stitching, I also took the time to go back to the tutorial video to guide myself through the process. After several hours of sewing, my neck needed a short break, so I decided to pause for a moment before continuing. And once I got back, I slowly found my rhythm again. By then, my finger protectors had already been through a lot, maybe even more than I had. Next, I stitched along the edges of the side straps before attaching them to the body of the bag. Then I moved on to the top handle and noticed how well it held its shape. It has an internal structure that makes it firm and comfortable to hold. First, you need to stitch all around the handle before attaching it to the bag. And like with any handmade project, there's always a small accident. And they all reminded me I was working with leather. The handle stitching looked challenging at first, but luckily I found a way to secure it in place, and everything became more precise, more manageable. After sewing a Birkin, working on this bag feels a bit different. And even though I'm no longer a complete beginner when it comes to leather work, that doesn't mean it's easy. The Kelly structure is simpler, but it still carries the same elegance and precision that defines these designs. What's interesting is that many of these iconic bags share the same construction principles. Both the Kelly and the Birkin are designed to last for decades without collapsing, thanks to their rigid structure and traditional leathercraft techniques like the saddle stitch. And that comes with a huge advantage. If one thread breaks, the seam doesn't unravel completely, because each side is secured by the other needle. Every stitch brings me closer to the moment when each piece finds its place. And little by little, the bag begins to reveal its final shape. Even when attaching the pocket, which requires a bit of precision, the positioning pins made the process much easier. Finally, it's time to stitch the clochette, which includes the leather pieces, the key, and the lock. The stitching itself was very simple, and it was right here, near the end, that I made a small mistake. I stitched the key before passing the leather strap through the bell-shaped piece, and there was no way it would fit. so I had to undo the stitching. Thread the strap first, and then sew everything again in the correct order. With the final stitches done, all that's left is trimming the threads and putting the tools away. This is the point where the process feels almost complete. Then it's time to assemble the hardware. Some pieces snap into place, while others are secured with small screws. All the previous work starts to come together, and it's the subtle details that make the difference. And finally, my favorite part. Peeling off the protective films one by one, revealing the shine of each metal piece. It's a small gesture, but it completely transforms the result. After that, all that's left is adjusting the straps, and the bag is ready to use. Designs like this have lasted for decades for a reason, not just because of their aesthetics, but because of the history, the time, and the craftsmanship behind them. And when you spend hours stitching each piece by hand, you begin to understand why objects like these become so special. Because in the end, true luxury is not just in the finished object, but in the time, the patience, and the work behind it. And even then, I felt like something personal was missing. So I decided to make a pair of mini scarves to decorate the handle and give it a unique touch. For the mini scarves, I'll be using fabrics I already have on hand, like the necktie from a silk blouse that I no longer wear, with a really beautiful print. And for the second scarf, I'll be using fabric from a tenugui that I had previously dyed using the shibori technique. I'll start by taking both pieces apart, removing anything I don't need, so I can work with them as raw fabric. Then, the fabric needs to be cut and reinforced if necessary, to improve its structure. Once the pieces are ready, I stitch each scarf carefully, making sure the edges have a clean finish. Finally, I press them to set their shape and give them a more refined look. And this is the result. With the tenugui fabric, I made two identical ones so I can also use them on the Birkin, while the silk one has a softer, more fluid drape. If you're interested in shibori dyeing, you can watch the full process in another video I made, link in the description. One of the most interesting things about a bag like this is how much it can change with small details. A charm, a small touch of color, and it already starts to feel different. A simple scarf on the handle, and suddenly the same bag takes on a new personality. Each small addition shifts the mood of the bag, giving it a slightly different presence every time. With just a few accessories, the same piece can move from quiet and classic to playful and expressive. And that was something I discovered once it was finished. Sometimes you don't need a different bag, just a different way to wear it. Thank you Babylon Leather for making this experience possible, and for bringing us a little closer to the craft of building a bag by hand. If this project inspired you to try it yourself, you'll find the link to the kit in the description.